If it cuts me out.
Because when people come in, they get.
Okay, we'll see how that goes.
Okay. Hi everyone. Thanks for coming out. Shar, thanks for having me out. So today what I'm going to talk about are energy boosting foods. But just to give you a little background on me, I'm Peggy Kotsopoulos. I'm a registered holistic nutritionist and culinary consultant. I'm a resident nutritionist on CBC Stephen and Chris show, and I do CBC News Network in Toronto as well. And I just launched a new book, and I'm also a spokesperson for Vega. And I also just launched a new book called Must Have Been Something I Ate, which links what you eat to how you look and feel. So basically it's more like a go-to guide. It's not like, a change your entire lifestyle or, it's basically if you feel a certain way, go to the chapter, whether you're feeling depressed, if you're stressed, if you're low energy, if you want to boost your sex drive, if you want better skin, if you have muffin tops or buttocks, go to those chapters and it tells you the key nutrients that your body needs and some of the top foods that have those nutrients in it. So it's more like a reference go-to guide. Plus there's some delicious recipes in there that I'm going to actually sample a couple of them today. We're going to do a chocolate mousse, totally guilt-free, and we're going to have a vegatini that you guys are going to sample as well. So to start, so energy. So how many of you wake up in the morning sometimes and think, oh, it hits snooze like 5 times for like the next 20 minutes. I know I do sometimes. Some of us. Or it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon and you're sitting in a meeting and you're trying to hold your eyelids open at the back of your pen. Some of us as well, right? We get the afternoon just crash. So what I'm going to talk about are some key nutrients that can actually help boost energy levels, and some top foods that have that as well. And then I'm going to go into Q&A and I'll open it up for questions. So to begin, some key nutrients that we need for energy boosting. I'll just kind of run them off and I'll get into detail. So tyrosine. Now, tyrosine is an amino acid that's a precursor to dopamine production in our brain. Now, dopamine is a neurotransmitter that's responsible for energy and motivation and drive. That's the one that will give you the kick in the butt to motivate you to do things. So dopamine is what will get you up in the morning and jump out of bed and can't wait to get the day started. We can all maybe sometimes use a little bit more of that in our life. So foods rich in tyrosine are things like fish, sea algae, chlorella is really rich in tyrosine. So these are types of foods that we can actually add to our diet that really help boost dopamine levels. So like I said, dopamine is a neurotransmitter, but tyrosine is amino acid. Our body actually creates tyrosine on its own, so it's a non-essential amino acid, but we can always use an extra little boost just to get that going. Also, iron. Especially in women, a lot of women are iron deficient anemic, or they can have low iron levels. And a lot of times, with just even a little bit extra iron in their diet, they can have a huge boost in energy. So there's heme iron and there's non-heme iron. Heme iron is from, non-heme iron is from plant-based sources, and heme iron is from animal-based sources of iron. If you are doing a plant-based source of iron, it doesn't absorb as readily as a meat source of iron, but if you couple it with a vitamin C, it increases the absorption. So for example, if you're doing something like chickpeas, which are rich in iron, if you make a hummus, so if you're adding a little bit of lemon juice in there, freshly squeezed lemon, which is rich in vitamin C, and using red peppers, which is really high in vitamin C, you'll increase the absorption of the iron from the chickpeas. If you're doing something like quinoa or oatmeal, or if you do oatmeal for breakfast or quinoa for breakfast, adding strawberries. Strawberries are a really rich source of vitamin C as well. That will increase the absorption of the iron found in the quinoa. So by adding more vitamin-rich foods to that, you'll actually increase iron levels and increase energy levels. Now, things that can actually inhibit iron absorption are calcium. So even things like, for example, so if you're doing an iron supplement and if you're doing a calcium supplement, you want to make sure you have them at different times of the day. I always say do the iron in the morning and the calcium at night, because the calcium can actually relax you and help you sleep. And then the iron can boost energy levels. So you want to make sure you do them at separate times of the day. And try not to combine foods that are rich in calcium and rich in iron together, because it can inhibit absorption. So that's iron. Another nutrient is B vitamins. So B vitamins are energy boosting vitamins. There are stress busting vitamins. We want to make sure we add those to our diet every day. And the thing is, when it comes to B vitamins, so B vitamins are high, like grains, for example. Whole grains are a rich source of B vitamins. Dark leafy greens are a rich source of B vitamins. We want to make sure that we add them throughout our day, because they're water soluble. Now what that means is, say you take B vitamins in the morning, where you have foods rich in B vitamins in the morning, your body will only absorb what it needs at that moment. The rest your body will get rid of. So come the afternoon, especially if you're stressed or on the go all the time, your vitamin D demands, your vitamin B demands are pretty high, like your body needs it. So come the afternoon, you're going to need to replenish them again. So you want to make sure you have them throughout the day. Having them too close, if you take too much too close to bed again, it can keep you awake because they are really energy boosting. But if you're stressed, I would definitely recommend supplementing with the B vitamin. B6 really helps with stress, especially. B6 is really good for is really good as well for a serotonin production. So tryptophan is a precursor to serotonin, which is our happy, feel-good neurotransmitter in our brain. And the thing is, B6 is required for the conversion of tryptophan into serotonin. And the thing is, if we're coffee drinkers, so if some of you are coffee drinkers, caffeine actually depletes vitamin B6 in your body. So if you're stressed, it can cause more adrenal fatigue and exhaustion. You might feel more tired or fatigued. That's when B vitamins are especially important, especially if you drink coffee. Also B12. B12 is a huge energy boosting vitamin. Now the thing is, when it comes to B12, it's really, a lot of people are like, well, they think a lot of it has to do with food and food sources of B12, and it is true, but what's most important when it comes to B12 deficiency, it can take up to 20 years for somebody to develop a B12 deficiency because your liver actually stores B12, and it actually recirculates in your intestinal system. So through your bile, through your liver, this reabsorption. Now, 3 factors that inhibit B12 absorption is basically the state of your intestinal health. So if you have IBS or IBD or digestive issues, chances are you might have a B12 deficiency because your body's not absorbing it. Even though B12 is a vitamin, it's actually a bacteria. It's a bacteria synthesizing vitamin, so it actually colonizes in your intestinal system. So if you don't have enough good, friendly bacteria in your system, you might have an issue absorbing B12. So from going to 20-year cycle in terms of becoming deficient in B12, it can go down to 3. You can actually be deficient in 3 years if you're not incorporating B12 into your diet if you have digestive issues. So it's really important to supplement with probiotics. So even whether you do a probiotic supplement or whether you do things like miso, fermented foods, miso, kombucha, coconut kefir, any type of fermented food, sauerkraut, raw sauerkraut is really great, really rich in probiotics, so really good for your intestinal health. So that's really important when it comes to B12. Now also chlorophyll. Now chlorophyll, what chlorophyll does is it increases the number of red blood cells into your body. What red blood cells do is deliver oxygen to your cells. The more oxygen to your cells, the more energy you're going to have. So this is why we always hear our whole life, eat your greens, eat your greens. We always hear growing up, right? Our whole lives, we have to eat our greens. It's the most important thing. Does anyone really ask why? Well, greens are rich in phytonutrients. They're rich in vitamins and minerals and there's a whole host of nutritional benefits. But one of the key reasons why we want to get our greens is because of the chlorophyll. And it's really energy boosting. It has detoxification properties. It really increases longevity and vibrancy. So we want to add those to our diet. Now, I always look at greens as good, better, best.